Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty!
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very
much. Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty!
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much.
Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty!
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, welcome to another edition, another episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. I'm your host, Manager Marty. We're going to have a good show today. I'm excited for boxing. I mean, I said this before and I'm going to say it again. From January of 2025 to now in July of 2025, we've had some great boxing events, some better than others. But the bottom line is that all eyes have been fixated on the sport of boxing. Boxing is in a really good place, and it has been in a good place for the past several years. But I'm excited because the fights that we're seeing now are competitive. They're not as overmatched as we are accustomed to seeing. But guess what? Boxing is back. And for the past 48 hours, we all can agree that we all have been entertained by at least one fight on two different cards within a matter of 24 hours apiece. Within a matter of 24 hours apart. We had Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, that entire card. They were the main event, of course, as we know, Friday evening. And then last night, the next day, we had Shiraz versus Berlanga as the main event, and that entire card as well, including Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. I want to welcome each and every last one of you that are here joining me live in living color. I also want to welcome you if you're watching the replay of this live. And I also want to welcome all of the people that watch this channel or even the content of the channel, whether it be live, whether it be shorts, whether it be videos, but you're here today. If you are here today and you are a hater of mine, a detractor of mine, or even a spy, I equally welcome you as well. Now, you know I have to start this show off the right way with the sponsors of this channel. Yes, it's Sunday, but we still have to plug them in. And those are my guys, friends of the channel, Quartler Manis LLC, personal injury lawyers in the states of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Phone number at the bottom of your screen, 267-457-4201. Or you can go on their website to get more information about what they do, all the cases that they litigate. Doesn't matter what the case is. If it's a personal injury case, not only do they fight, but they win. Their website is wefightwewin.com. And of course, y'all know the Cash App, $ Manager Marty. All contributions and support and monetary resources are greatly appreciated. And I will publicly acknowledge you when you provide a Cash App. Not only that, feel free in the live segment right now to support this channel by giving a super thanks, super sticker, or even a super chat. You can also join the channel, become a member of this channel, and become a supervisor of the Road the Tape film crew. And when you do so, you also will be publicly acknowledged. And I also greatly appreciate all of your support and viewership live today. Now, enough with the hugs, handshakes, and Valentine's Day cards. Before we talk about William Zepeda versus Shakur Stevenson, let me say this. The link is pinned to the top of the chat. You can click the link at any time during the live broadcast. Come on up, join the panel, have a conversation with me. Now, let's start with Puelo versus Matias. I'm going to start it off by saying this right now. I believe that Puelo did enough in a very razor edge, razor thin, close fight versus Matias. I believe he did enough to win. I really do. But it could have went either way. And it did go the other way because Sabrio Matias won last night. But it was a dog fight. They was getting it on. That's the type of entertainment that I think we all needed to see, especially for that card. I mean, every fight on the card was entertaining. I definitely think that Matias is going to have to run it with top level opposition in the division. I mean, we know Puelo beat Gary Antoine Russell, but I would love to see Matias versus Gary Antoine Russell for the belt. I would love to see that fight at 140. That would be a really, really good fight. Not saying that he has to take that fight next because he was in the dog fight. He was in the war zone when he was banging it out with Puelo last night. But that would be a really good fight. Any of the top 140 pounders against Matias is a good fight. Even though I believe that Puelo won. But that was a really, really good fight. Very entertaining. Back and forth seesaw battle in almost practically every round. I'm going to skip the Shakur Stevenson Williams Zepeda fight for right now. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. But I mentioned something, if some of you were here, and most of you were here, but some of you probably were not, and that's okay because it was last minute and short notice. But I went live and I conducted a live commentary on the Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano fight on Friday night, right? And one of the things that I mentioned was how Amanda Serrano was in a celebratory mood during her ring walk entrance, right? As she was coming to the ring, she did have someone perform. And then she had the New York Knicks dance team perform. And then she walked to the ring. And of course, Jake Paul and his business partner, the co-founder of MVP Promotions, followed her, to the ring. It was an entertaining ring walk, entertaining ring entrance. But one of the things that I said, live and living color, is that a lot of times in boxing, and we're talking the history of boxing, when professional boxers, fighters, have these grandiose and extravagant ring walks and ring entrances, especially against top level competition, even though the ring entrance or the ring walk is so entertaining on the outside of the ring, when they get inside the ring against top level competition that night, it don't end so well for them. I had mentioned that, right? And one of the examples that I used was when Adrian Broner came to the ring, with his ring entrance, his ring walk against Adrian, um, not Adrian, sorry, Adrian Broner, yes, versus Marcos Maidana, right? So I'll use another example. I'm going somewhere with this, so follow me, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Road to Tape film crew. Um, Corey Spinks fought Zab Judah in their rematch. Just so happened that the fight was in St. Louis, Missouri, the hometown of Corey Spinks, when he was defending the titles versus Zab Judah in their rematch. I believe that his ring entrance, that ring walk for that fight, was one of the best ring walk entrances that I've seen in boxing. That's definitely on the list of top 10. No question about it. He had Nelly, right, who is also from St. Louis, Missouri, came out and performed as he danced his way to the ring. In fact, I think the ring entrance, I think it took over 12 minutes. It took not 12 minutes. Was it 8 minutes? It was a long. I mean, Nelly performed the whole song, but he was, Corey Spinks was dancing. It was a really good ring entrance. Good walk, good ring walk. Yes, it was. But inside the ring versus Zab Judah, it didn't end so well for Corey Spinks. It didn't end so well for Adrian Broner when he fought Marcos Maidana. It didn't end so well for Amanda Serrano when she fought Katie Taylor Friday night in their third fight. And it also did not end well for Edgar Berlanga last night. I mean, it was good that Fat Joe, who was also from New York City, just like Edgar is from New York, and of course they share uh, their heritage and culture in common, of course. But the ring entrance on the outside of the ring was so good that in the inside of the ring, it didn't end so well for Berlanga. I mean, with all that trash that Berlanga was talking in the buildup of this fight, all of the threats that he was sending to Shiraz, all of the shots that he was throwing at even Oscar De La Hoya, and it still did not end well for him. Now I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I'm gonna keep it a whole dollar with y'all. I'm gonna keep it $1 with y'all. I actually thought that Berlanga had enough to win against Shiraz. Now, of course, I knew it was gonna be a 50-50 fight. I mean, we all knew that. I mean, I know I did. I didn't do a bold prediction on it or a breakdown of the fight. I dropped the ball on that Saturday. Yesterday morning, I was, you know, I put one out for Shakur though as the Zepeda, but I didn't have enough time to drop that one. But needless to say, nonetheless, that was a 50-50 fight going into the fight. But I actually thought that Edgar was going to do enough to at least win on the scorecards. And anybody that talked to me off of YouTube that's watching this video live or going to watch the replays live, y'all know what I told y'all and who I thought was going to win and why. And I gave y'all a breakdown when we talked on the phone or through social media, etc. Now, you thought in the buildup of that fight that Berlanga was going to come out guns blazing in the first round and knock out Shiraz. I'm talking about the way that he was being aggressive, the way that he was talking, the way that he was belittling Shiraz, the way he was trying to bully him at the press conferences, and the things that he was saying to him at the weigh-in and putting his hands in his face and all of these type of things. But what he failed to realize was Shiraz does really well on the inside as well as he does on the outside. And what I mean by that is the game plan that Shiraz had basically worked because he stayed in close quarters with Edgar Berlanga, attacked the body and mixed his punches up, body and the head. And like I always tell fighters, and you've heard me say this several times before, even as recent as me giving a game plan for Kid Austin to beat Tevin Former. When you get a fighter hurt, and I said this in my breakdown with even Amanda Serrano against Katie Taylor in the third fight, before the fight, and I'm going to say it again now. When you have a fighter hurt, you have to go for broke. Let it all hang out. I said the same thing in my breakdown between Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda. And I'm going to maintain the foundation of when a fighter is hurt for all fighters. When you have a fighter hurt, you're going to have to do what you have to do as a fighter. Take them out. Take her out. I'm not saying exhaust all your energy, but at some point, if you have that fighter hurt, you have to go for broke. And you have to do it as a professional fighter carefully and tactfully. Because we have fighters in the history of boxing, like the great Larry Holmes, who basically turned it up when he was hurt, when he was a wounded animal. He literally will start attacking even when he was hurt. Just like the real deal Evander Holyfield, when he got caught with a couple big shots and he was hurt, he didn't fold like a lawn chair. No, he would literally start banging it out. So professional boxers have to be very careful and tactical when they are advancing and approaching the opponent to basically get them out of there after they're hurt. And Shiraz did that last night when he realized that Berlanga was hurt. He let his hands go and landed some crucial combinations. Shout out to my guy. He's here, live and living color, member of the channel, supervisor of the Road to Tape film crew. My guy, Band Up. Now, Berlanga lost in two of the most crucial but biggest fights in his career thus far. Last night, Shiraz did something that Canelo Alvarez didn't do, and that was knock down and TKO Edgar Berlanga. I mean, this was Shiraz's first time moving up one division to face Berlanga. And the fight didn't even go past 5 rounds. It was that left hook. I seen it live. I said, up, I knew he was hurt. There's two things I can tell while a professional boxing match is happening. I can tell when a fighter is hurt. I know I've been around boxing a long time. I know when a fighter is hurt. Now, Band Up is not gonna like this next part. But I also know when a fighter's performance is enhanced. Woo! Y'all know I know. You all know that I know that. But I knew that Berlanga was hurt when Shiraz he landed that left hook. Even though Berlanga still was standing in front of him, he was hurt. And Shiraz knew he was hurt. And he dropped that combination on him and knocked Berlanga down the first time. I believe that Berlanga got up way too fast because a lot of people probably didn't see this, but when he knocked Berlanga down the first time, Berlanga's eyes rolled in the back of his head before he hit the canvas. But Berlanga got back up, and in my personal opinion and professional observation, Berlanga still was incoherent, and the referee did not do a good job with protecting Edgar because he was in the corner. And yes, the referee told him to move to the right and told him, you know, you know, hey, you gotta show me something. Move to the right, you know, count it, put his fingers up in his face so that Berlin can see his fingers count, right? To 8. Of course, the standard 8 count rule was enforced, and I get that. But Berlanga got knocked down shortly thereafter again, and the second knockdown was worse than the first one. And then he gets up fast again, and the ref allowed the fight to continue. And then, of course, shortly thereafter, after some punches were landed again by Shiraz, the referee stopped it. As a trained official, our primary responsibility in that ring as a referee is the safety of both fighters. In other words, it doesn't make sense for a fighter to have to take unnecessary punishment, especially when they are defenseless. Edgar Berlanga was defenseless and he took unnecessary punches and punishment after he got dropped that second time. That fight should have been waved off. That fight should have been waved off then, but it wasn't. And yes, Mr. Finesse, he was, well, you said clapping, but what it is he was banging his fists together. And he does that. If you go back and look at some old videos of Berlanger when he got knocked down before, he does that. I guess that's his way of acknowledging, like, dang, I'm on the ground again. But yes, that's not the first time that he banged his gloves together as if he was clapping after he got knocked down. But the question becomes, what's next for Edgar Berlanga after losing to Canelo Alvarez and getting knocked down in that fight? What's next for Edgar Berlanga after getting technically knocked out by Shiraz? I mean, what's next for him? Obviously, his chin is extremely soft. Okay, I mean, don't forget there's another there's another world class fighter in the division that fought on the card last night, David Morrell, who got knocked down as well. You know what would be a good fight stylistically, since they both got knocked down. Well, shit, Berlanga got knocked out, but David Morrell and Edgar Berlanga. That's a good money fight for both of those guys. I mean, I'm not saying they have to fight right now, because we know Edgar Berlanga is definitely under suspension, which is standard protocol and procedures in boxing after technical knockout. But that would be a good fight, stylistically, and of course for the big money grab. Because we got David Benavidez, who's about to fight Anthony Yard in a few months. So um, the higher weight classes are back in business. Usyk and Daniel Dubois, they fighting next weekend, undisputed, all the belts on the line, heavyweight division. So the bigger guys, those divisions, super um super middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. Those three divisions, they're starting to get more active now. But the question becomes, what's next? What's next for Edgar Berlanga? Now, with that being said, somebody put Pitbull Cruz' name in the chat just now. Pitbull Cruz is actually on that same card next Saturday night. Um, because Manny Pacquiao, Mario Barrios is on that card next weekend, and of course Tim Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora in the rematch, which is going to be really, really good. Um, but what y'all think about Shakur Stevenson's performance last night? What y'all think about that performance? I mean, Shakur did everything he said he was going to do. A couple of times he did retreat, but for the most part, he stood in the pocket and he stood close in the chest of Zepeda, something that I told him that he should do in the breakdown of my video yesterday. Breakdown of this fight in my video yesterday, when I talked about the keys to victory for both fighters. What do y'all think about Shakur Stevenson's performance? Shakur Stevenson's defense, as we all know, is really good. I didn't particularly like the fact that he stood against the ropes for the entire duration of the fight. And he was in that corner for a little bit too long each round, in my opinion. But overall, Shakur Stevenson stepped up to the plate and he walked through the fire. I already had Shakur winning this fight, but he walked through the fire. He stood toe to toe with a guy who throws over 100 plus punches in one round for 12 rounds consecutively. And he was accurate in his punch output, and his punch placement was intact. Very good. He did something else that I thought he should have done, and I said it in the breakdown of this fight, in my breakdown for both fighters, and in my video yesterday, that Shakur Stevenson has to be consistent for the entire duration of the fight, going to the body. And he did that. We saw something that we've never seen before, and that is that Shakur Stevenson got clipped and almost got knocked down while he was against the ropes from a straight right hand by William Zepeda. But almost doesn't count. See, Zepeda is a volume puncher. He throws a lot of punches, but a lot of his punches are not accurate. They don't land at the target. Now, most of his shots did land on Shakur, especially when he was going to Shakur's body when Shakur was pressed against the ropes. But some of those other punches, while Shakur was resting on the ropes, some of those punches that Zepeda tried to land to the head, they didn't connect. He missed. But he did relatively well also, and he deserves credit. Now, I didn't hear any excuses from Shakur Stevenson with regards to his hands. I don't know if he injured his hands or not. It don't seem like he did, which I'm glad to hear that. But Shakur did relatively well. He did a really good job. He didn't surprise me personally because I knew that Shakur Stevenson would do what he says, and that is stand in the pocket. I knew that he wasn't going to retreat in this fight. He said he wasn't, and most of the time when Shakur say that he's not going to do something inside of the ring, he's usually not going to do it. But no one can say that William Zepeda is a D plus or a C plus level fighter. No one can say that. I know Shakur diminished the skill set of Zepeda before the fight, in the buildup of the fight, but at the end of the day, I know Shakur Stevenson have a greater respect for William Zepeda and the skill set of William Zepeda than he did beforehand. Yes, um, Shakur confessed, and y'all heard me put this in the video yesterday. He confessed that over 10 years ago he sparred Zepeda. So he already knew what Zepeda bring to the table. He knows his strengths and weaknesses. Not saying that you can't evolve over 10 years as a fighter, because that's ridiculous to say. Because fighters do evolve, especially you talking about being inexperienced, and then 10 years later, within 10 years, you'll gain experience. So Zepeda is probably not the same exact fighter that Shakur Stevenson was expecting to see from sparring him. But at the end of the day, Shakur knew who he was. And that's why I believe he cherry picked him, which was good because it's big money. Styles make fights, and so do different cultures. And I noticed something about Shakur. You ain't gonna find this nowhere else. That's why I'm glad y'all here. I didn't see the snack logo on Shakur Stevenson's trunks or his boxing robe that he wore to the ring. Well, his boxing jacket, rather. Did y'all see that? Because I didn't. I mean, I could be wrong, but I didn't see that snack logo. I didn't see it. And because I didn't see it, I noticed that Shakur Stevenson was breathing with his mouth open, you know, after about 4 or 5 rounds for the whole entire duration of the fight, which was good for him to be up against the ropes, getting that extra wind and breathing a little bit, right? Taking some uh, uh, um, short breaths and pacing himself a little bit. But against Zepeda, that's not really a place a fighter wants to be. But Shakur has good defense. He has to work on that shoulder roll if that's what he really want to use, because he still was getting hit to the face a couple of times when trying to use it as he was stuck in the corner and against the ropes. But at the end of the day, I didn't see the snack logo on his trunks. Now, you know, when the fighter have the snack logo on their trunks, they look different when they don't have it on their trunk. Now, I don't know if Victor Conti was a part of this camp. I'm not sure. But I'm just talking about the last camp he was there. And you saw the power increase when Shakur threw them same punches he threw and landed on Zepeda that he threw and landed on the electrician, Padley. This is not a conspiracy. I'm just making an observation. Don't get mad at me. Shakur Stevenson did not have snack logo on his trunks. Okay? But he did have Terrence Crawford in his corner. And I like the fact that Terrence Crawford was supporting Shakur. Double salute to my guy. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Rototape film crew, warming up the air fryer. My main man, Pots and Pan. Fort Greene Pharaoh, thank you for your contribution and your support. Fort Greene Pharaoh says in the super chat, salute Manager Marty. Glad I made it to class. Man, I thank you for coming through, man. Appreciate you coming to class, man. You know, I'm going to break it down. Appreciate you, man. Always a pleasure to see you. Just so y'all know before we break out of here, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Anybody can click the link, have a conversation with me. Let's talk about it. Now, what's next for Shakur Stevenson after that great performance? I mean, he took Zepeda's best shots to the head and to the body. He paced himself. He landed some great counter punches. He let his hands go more often than we usually see Shakur with those great combinations. He didn't do a whole lot of retreating. He didn't run. He stood toe to toe with a monster. What's next for Shakur Stevenson? He did call out Tank Davis. Now everybody know Tank Davis have a legal situation that interferes with the fight between and Lamont Roach Jr., the rematch. So we know that fight is unlikely to happen right away. I mean, we know that, there's a restraining order against Tank Davis. So he's going to have to go back before a judge, go back before his ex-girlfriend slash mother of his children, and he's going to deal with that situation. The problem with that is that he also is going to have to sit in front, or stand in his case, in front of another judge, a back judge, because Tank Davis was on probation, correct? So he has to deal with a lot of legal matters right now. So anybody calling out Tank Davis when they know Tank Davis is not going to fight them now, and when Tank Davis do resume his career, especially if it's within the next couple months, we know he's going to fight Lamont Roach first. It's asinine, in my opinion. I get Shakur Stevenson calling out Tank because he's been calling out Tank only when he has fights available, only when he has a fight that he's ready to compete in. Sort of like Keyshawn Davis. We know the game plan, we know the play that they run to make their stock bigger and rise bigger, to make the anticipation much increase by even the casual boxing fan to watch their performances in hopes that they will win so that they can land a fight with Tank Davis. It's all for promotional purposes. But realistically, because Shakur calling out Tank Davis is not realistic right now. I'm talking about him fighting him. He can call him out, but like him actually fighting him now, that's unrealistic. So realistically speaking, my question becomes, what's next for Shakur Stevenson in the 135-pound division as a world champion? Should Shakur Stevenson move up in weight? Should Shakur Stevenson finally fight Kid Austin, who just knocked out Tevin Former in the first round? They just fought literally 2 weeks apart. You know what's interesting about this? We saw this movie before, didn't we? You know how when Brian Norman Jr., y'all remember in his last performance before the Jin Sasaki fight, when he fought Quavos? Y'all remember that? He defended his title against Derek Quavos. Y'all remember that? Okay. And then 2 weeks later, Jerron Boots Ennis defended his title and even won and unified the other title when he fought Stan Jonas. What I'm trying to get at is they fought 2 weeks apart. And in my opinion, and I told Brian Norman Sr. this to his face when we both were on YSM Sports Media about a month ago, that Brian Norman Jr. and Boots should have fought since they basically just had training camps and fights within 2 weeks of each other. Very simple. And I'm saying the same thing now about Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Schofield III, aka Kid Austin. They fought 2 weeks apart. So in my opinion, they should be fighting next. That's just my opinion. But what say you? What's next for Shakur Stevenson after that performance last night? Double salute to my guy. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Road to Tape film crew, the OG of the channel, Mr. Gregory Quarterbaum. Thank you for your support and contribution, Mr. Greg. Mr. Greg says in the super chat, good afternoon, Manager Marty, and the chat. I was thinking about him being stepped back as well because of him being on probation. He's referring to Tank Davis. Yes, Tank Davis is on probation, and he violated the probation by being arrested and having contact with law enforcement. So he has to deal with the violation of probation and the new charge of domestic violence and domestic battery. So it's a huge possibility that Tank Davis might serve jail time. I'm not advocating for that. I think we all know I'm not advocating for that. But I'm just saying it's a possibility because of the violation. But at the end of the day, hopefully he doesn't serve time in prison. And hopefully these are just allegations between him and his ex-girlfriend slash mother of his children. And I wish the same for Devin Haney and his ex-girlfriend and the mother of his child. That is just an allegation. Yes, an argument might have ensued verbally, but it didn't go past that. For neither Tank Davis or Devin Haney, I wish that none of these young men would have to endure the consequences of domestic violence when they are innocent. But at the same time, if you're going to talk about Tank Davis, and this is for every content creator that's listening, if you're going to talk about Tank Davis' situation, please make sure you talk about Devin Haney's. Okay? All right, because we saw Blue Blood Sports TV and some other ones that refused to touch on the Devin Haney situation. Obviously, there's a restraining order with his name as the defendant on it, just like Tank Davis's. That's all. Hey, hey, hey. That's all I'm saying. Double salute to my guy, Big Rick, in the super chat, always showing up, man. I appreciate you, man. Rick is a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. Thank you for your contribution, Rick. Rick says, it's been a while since I caught you live. Salute, Manager Marty. Have a good day. A little something, something for the channel. Berlanga got knocked the F out. He certainly did, Rick, and it's always good to see you, my brother. Have a good day as well. Yeah, Berlanga got crushed, man. And once again, his mouth wrote a check that is chin cash. Double salute, Jab Queen Boxing. She's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. So my question becomes again, in your opinion, tell me in the live chat, tell me in the comment section below if you're checking out the replay of this live, what's next for Shakur Stevenson after this performance versus William Zepeda? He lived up to the hype. He walked through the fire. He crushed the criticism that certain boxing fans and even content creators was giving him about him retreating a lot. He crushed the criticism of Turkey Al-Ashiki, who said he don't want to see any quote unquote Tom and Jerry boxing, which Tom and Jerry is an American cartoon. I don't know why he's using this. Anyway, the bottom line is Shakur Stevenson answered the call. He stood in the pocket. He let his hands go. He got caught with some big shots. He's going to have to work on a little bit of that defense when he's standing in the middle of the ring against a volume puncher. But for the most part, he knew that Williams Zepeda didn't have, you know, knockout power or one punch knockout power. He knew that already going into this fight. But nonetheless, it don't make a difference. He won in dramatic fashion, unanimous decision. And I believe that for this performance, yes, he does have more talent and skills than Williams Zepeda. But for this performance, Shakur deserves rightful credit. He just does. But the question becomes, in your opinion, what do you think is next for Shakur Stevenson? Who should his next opponent be? I believe at this point, just go on and let it be Floyd Schofield III, aka Kid Austin. That's just my opinion. But what say you? You know what? I'm doing way too much talking, man. Don't take my word for it.